Yo, what is up? How's it going? It's Jamil, and today I'm going to show you what you need to do in order to start playing by ear, okay? So, first of all, why should you learn to play guitar by ear? Well, for me personally, I struggled a lot. Before learning to play by ear, I used to play a lot of tabs, okay? Tons and tons of tabs, okay? And the problem that I ran into was that I didn't feel like a real musician. Like, I, you know, obviously played really great. Like I'll be playing like I'll play like River Flows in You. Like obviously it sounds nice and everything, right? But at one point, it got old, right? It wasn't because the songs didn't sound good, right? But it was actually because it wasn't coming from myself, right? I was just kind of I was just repeating, I was just memorizing things, right? Copying from others, right? Right, which is basically what tabs are. You copy from others, from someone else's work, right? And that's the thing that was missing in my journey. It was the fact that I wasn't actually feeling like a real musician because all I did, right, was memorize tabs, right? Just copy from somebody else, and that's the thing that just got really, really old and boring. And because of that, I ended up quitting guitar, right? I mean, it came to a point where, like, sure, I would pick it up like every, I don't know, every twice, right? A month, every 2 months, every 1 month, right? Just to do the same thing, right? Try to play another tab, right? Maybe just play the same old songs I used to know, right? And then that's it, right? Back in the closet again, right? Horrible experience. Okay, horrible guitar experience. You know, that was it. So playing by ear really, just how do I say this? It just revived my. It was one of the things that revived my guitar, journey. Actually wanting to play again, actually wanting to pick up the guitar again and do something with it, right? So that's why, you should play by ear. Okay, that's the reason why I play by ear. And also, you're gonna avoid this, right? If right now you're on the tabs, right, maybe they feel exciting right now, right? You can totally avoid that, and start playing by ear today, you know. And obviously, this is a real amazing skill to have, playing by ears. Like, dang, it's like basically being able to create your own tabs, right? Your own covers of songs, right? It's like, this is the beautiful thing about it. So yeah, okay. Um, so first things first, okay. What you're gonna do, okay? How do we start playing by ear, right? So what we're gonna do is basically, we need to learn how to get the key of a song, okay? This is how we start, okay? We need to learn how to get the key of the song, and to do that, we need to know and start right with the tonic, okay? We need to know how to get the tonic of a song. And basically the tonic, okay, is the home base of the song, okay? So home base, it's the home base, it's what the song revolves back to, okay? It's a specific note, okay, that the song revolves around, okay? The tonic note, all right? um and the tonic, okay, how do I describe this? I think the best way, or a good analogy that just kind of, I think, really clicks is, if you think of it as a home base, right? It's a note that everything wants to come back to, right? So just like you have a home that you come back to every time, right? You go outside, you do things outside, right? And then you come back to your home, right? It's the same thing with notes, right? You start with your home, right? Or like you go outside, right? And you do all the sort of things, and then you come back home, right? So you come back home to rest, right? And that's kind of like the thing. That's why it's called a home base, right? Because the places that we find the tonic, right, is where the song rests, where the song feels revolved. So to put you an example, we have Bruno Mars' "Count on Me," okay, and if we play it, right, you'll notice that our C note, right, is the one that we can hear a rest, a finished sentence, okay, in the song, right? So if we start playing, right, we actually start on the tonic right there with a C chord, okay, C major chord. So Right, so right there. Right, so right there we end with that C note, right? This is C note. Okay, so that's like the things, the signs that we're looking for, right? So it's like, if you ever find yourself in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you, right? And that right there is like the finished sentence of the song, right? To find you, right? So that's the things that like you look for, right? And you look for it in the bass and the melody, right? It's very important that you look in the bass as well, for the tonic, right? Which in this song you can actually find it, you know, right there in the beginning, right when we start. That's also a C right there, right? So that's where you can look for, you know, the tonic. That's how you find the tonic. Now I have an in-depth video, okay, in-depth video on how to do this, okay, in my starter pack, okay, which is basically all about the tonic. Okay, you'll learn in depth live with me. You know, I'm doing a song right there, you know, basically how to get the tonic. I'm giving you directions on how I do it, right? And just basically I really go in depth in the tonic. So I really recommend my starter pack, which, you know, if you want it, you can just comment down below and I'll actually send it to you. If you're on YouTube, you know, you can just send me like a DM on Instagram. I'll leave it down below and I'll send you that starter pack, okay? So the next step from here is the scale, okay? So like I said, the objective right here that we're trying to get is the key, okay? So for the key, we need the tonic, right? That's why we're doing the tonic. And in order to get the key, we also need the scale, right? So basically, tonic plus scale is going to equal our key, all right? So scale is basically, you probably heard of major or minor, right? That's what a scale is, right? You have the scale, right, of major, you have the scale of minor, right? And then depending on the tonic, right, that's the thing that tells us, you know, if it's C major, right, C minor, you know. So that's how you complete, you know, basically a key, right? So that's why it's tonic plus scale, right, equals a key of the song, right? So now I think I actually forgot to explain this, my bad, but the thing with the key and why it's so important is we're basically taking 12 notes, okay? There's 12 notes in total, right? And we're narrowing that down to 7 notes when we get a major or minor key, right? We narrow that down to 7 notes, from 12 to 7, and those 7 notes create a unique sound, okay? There's a unique feeling that those notes specifically, right, create, right? Like it goes good on the guitar, right? It goes good on the guitar to sound good, right? It's not all these notes scrambled together, right, that just give you all over the place sounds, right? So that's why it's so important, okay, to get the key, right? Because narrowing that down to from 12 to 7, like it's just mind blowing, right? And also the fact that you know, it's like this is gonna be the notes that you're going to be dealing with, you know, and that's how it's so easy to just start recognizing when it comes to, you know, playing by ear, right? Recognizing the notes and being able to put it on the guitar, right? By ear. So yeah. So with that said, right, let's keep going. So scales. So with scales, what you do, okay? There's major, minor, right? And with scales, there's basically patterns, okay? There's a major pattern and there's a minor pattern, okay? So we're gonna start with a major pattern. So how it goes, right? It goes with intervals, okay? So intervals are not crazy. They're not this monster that like it's gonna eat you at night. It's like, no, it's simple, okay? Intervals is just the distance between two notes, all right? So for example, when we're doing the pattern, okay, we have right here, hopefully you guys can see, but let's see. So remember, an interval is a distance between two notes. So for example, we have a whole step, okay? A whole step is an interval, right? A whole step tells us to go down 2 frets, Okay, so if we start on G, all right, if we start on G, right, we go down 2 frets, all right, and there we go, we land on A, and that's an interval right there. Okay, going from G to A. Okay, and then another interval is called a half step. All right, so a half step is just basically, you know, if you think about it, it's half of the whole step, right? Half step, we just go down 1 fret. So if we start on G, G, and right there we would land on G sharp, right? So that would be a half step. Okay, so for example, when we do a whole step, okay, and we go from G to A, right, we cover two half steps. Okay, that's the distance between our notes. All right, the distance between two notes, which is G and A, right? So that's how it works. Okay, same thing with a half step, right? The distance between two notes right here, G and G sharp, distance between two notes is what right there? A half step. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, so now what we do is we're basically going to apply a specific pattern of whole step and half steps, okay, for major, right, and then minor. There's one for major and there's one for minor. Okay, so if we get in the G major scale, all right, what we do is we start on G, all right, which would be our tonic. Okay, so for example, if we have a song in the G major, and if we have a song that we found the tonic, which is G, right, we would start on G. Okay, and what we're doing right here is basically we're building the scale and we're getting the notes of the key, right? So we start on G, we start the pattern, we go whole step, that's A, whole step again, that's B, half step, that's C, whole step again, D, whole step again, that's E, okay, whole step again, that is F sharp, and then back to G. Okay, half step right there. Okay, so that's how it goes. Those are the notes of our G major scale. All right, it's that easy. All right, that's how you get the notes of the G major scale. So when you go in and then you're like finding the G major, you know, you got the G, right, and you're trying to build a G major scale, you know, that's how you do it. You use the pattern. Okay, so next thing, all right, we're gonna do the G minor scale. All right, so for the G minor scale, okay, we're gonna use the minor scale pattern, which if we start on G, all right, we start on G right there, G, we go whole step, that's A, we go half step, that's A sharp, we go whole step, that is our C note, we go whole step again, that is our D note, we go half step, that is our D sharp note, we go whole step, that is our F note, and then we go whole step again, that is back to our G notes. Okay, so that right there, those right there would be our notes of our G minor scale. That right there is our G. That right there is our minor scale pattern. Okay, so that's how you do it. Right. So now, okay, for example, if we have a song now, right, that is in the G major scale, okay, what we would do, okay, to for example, like if we're gonna double check, all right, whether it's major or minor, okay, because obviously you can hear the song and you can be like, okay, you know, this song is like on the sad side, right, so it's probably minor, right, and or you can go like, okay, well, this song is like on the happy side, so it's probably major, right? You can do that. The problem is you don't know for sure. You never know. You always have to double check, okay? So what we do for that is that, for example, now that we have both of our scales, okay, we're basically going to try the third note, okay? We have the G minor scale. We're going to compare the G minor scale and the G major scale, okay? So we have the third note that we got, all right, when we did the scale pattern. So for example, in the G major note, okay, the G major key, right, we start on G, right, and then we go to A, whole step, and then we go whole step again, and that is B, right? So we're gonna take that note B, okay, hold on to it, all right, we're gonna take note B, and then we're gonna do now our G minor scale, right? So when we do our G minor scale, right, we go G, right, whole step, and then half step, So that's gonna be A sharp. Okay, so we have basically, this is called the third scale degree. All right, third scale degree, which means the third note that we get when we go down the scale. All right, it's not complicated. Okay, so we take those notes. So we take from minor scale, we take A sharp, and then from our G major scale, we take our B notes. Okay, so we take those two notes and we would compare it to the tonic of our song to see which one, you know, it really is, right? If it's major or minor. You will, okay, you will, I'm telling you right now, you will hear the difference, okay, when you basically play the tonic. Let me show you. It goes like this, right? So actually, let me show you guys with an actual song scenario. Okay, so I actually created this song myself in the G major scale. Right, so I'm gonna show you guys a little part of it. Right, so it goes like this. All right, so that's how it goes, right? So if we would go and try an A sharp with my tonic, all right, which is G, okay, we try an A sharp and we try a B, right? We're gonna hear if it fits the song or not when we play it, like blending in. We basically blend in the tonic note, all right, which would be G, right, with our third scale degree of our major scale and minor scale, okay, for G major scale and a G minor scale. So we're gonna take, all right, for example, when we play this, right, all right, we would play an A sharp, all right, at the same time to check if this is minor, right? So if I play G, okay, and then I play an A sharp, all right, so that doesn't sound like it fits the song, right? Let's hear it again. Yo, when I play the song, the context is telling us it doesn't fit the song, right? Right? So now if we try a B though, all right? We try a B. Okay, we have A, B. That sounds more like it, right? It matches, you know? When we do, for example, that matches rather than, which is minor, we do, and that matches way better. Like you can see how compared to them, right? If when you compare them, you see that the major one matches and the minor one doesn't. Okay, so that's how you do it. Okay, right? So usually when you're playing like something by ear, right, you kind of like you try to hum it, you know, try to hum it, replicate the same sound of the tonic that you're hearing while you test it out on the scales, right? Or like you would basically play, which is actually, this is probably the best thing to do, is like play the audio, right, that you're hearing, and when you hear the tonic, when the tonic is played in your audio, you go in and you try to match it with your guitar on those notes, right, comparing them, which one fits in the song better. Okay, so that's how you do it. All right, so there you go. That was right there, just quick class, okay, on how to get the key of the song, how to basically start playing by ear. And like obviously from here, once you get your tonic, right, your tonic, your scale, right, and your key, you got the notes of your song, right? Now you can actually dive in, right? And if you have obviously like a fretboard chart, because if you don't know the notes of the fretboard, you're gonna need a fretboard chart. Now you can actually dive in, and then as you play, hear the notes out. You hear the notes out, and then you try to basically use the notes, okay, that you now discovered that are on your scale, right? And then you put them onto the guitar. All right, as you hear them, you try them out, right? It's like you're checking them, you're checking the notes, right? To see which one it is, right? And from those 7 notes, right? Obviously, the more you, as you get further into the song, you will hear repeated notes. Okay, so sometimes you're not gonna have to, you know, feel like you're starting over again, right? Um, because you've already covered those notes before. So that's why it's also really important to try and recognize that as you play by ear, so that you don't feel like you're starting all over again every single time, like you're getting a new note, right? So there you go. Okay, that's how you do it. And yeah, if you guys actually want my starter pack, want to go more in depth, okay, on the tonic, all right, specifically on the tonic, all right, just specifically on the tonic, right? If you guys want my starter pack, right, and so you can start getting tonics, okay, just drop me a quick line below, all right, or send me a DM on Instagram, and I'll send it to you, all right. Better send me a DM, or yeah, send me a DM on Instagram. It's gonna be better there, because here on YouTube is like, you can comment as well, right? But it's better to send it on Instagram. Okay, so there's that, and yeah, okay. See you guys in the next one, and God bless.